private classes, one of the biggest questions that we get asked is how to escape side mount. So today we're just going to do maybe 3 or 4 different options on some kind of fun ways to approach getting out that are a little less, maybe less known, but really effective. So Ian's side mount on top, modified side mount. That means that his north arm is over my face and then his south arm is blocking my hip down here. And my hand positions for all these will be framing the hip, and then my other arm, my outside arm, is going to be under his south armpit. A lot of the times you can also approach it like this, where 2 hands are up north. But for right now, I want hip block, rib hug up here. And I'm going to do a little bridge into Ian, and right when he pushes back, switch the angle and scoot my hips up underneath here, and now I'm on top. So just kind of playing with this idea of framing the hip down here, keeping him away from me. If my arm gets too separated, he can slide up under my armpit. So my elbow needs to stay somewhere by this hip. And I'm using this bone from my elbow to my shoulder to keep him away, to wedge him out. Look how my hand is hugging his ribs. Now, when I actually do this in real speed, I don't bridge and wait to feel his reaction. I know right away that when I bridge into somebody that they're usually going to push back into me. And that's why this works pretty well. So right away, it's just, I'm going to go slow motion. I'm bridging. I feel him push my shoulder back to the mat. My hand rotates, my leg kicks, and now my elbow and the hip helps push him across. I'm going to put my hand on the floor here. I'm going to lift my hips up a little bit, scoop the elbow wide, and then climb up into his armpit right here, where now I'm in modified side mount. I let Ian's arm go. He starts to frame my hips. He's blocking or he's hugging my rib cage. He does a little bridge into me. I put my toes on the ground. I push back into him. Boom. He captures my arm and rolls me across. This little arm detail is the key detail on the whole move. The way that let's move back a little bit. So the way that we rotate our hand on the ribs from a rib hug to a tricep hug, and I'm pulling it into my body. So I'm going to do this without rolling in. I just want to show you guys the way that the grip rotates. Look, I'm hugging here, but when I start to roll and my hand goes palm out, I pull his tricep or his elbow into my hip, and then that's what's going to trap this arm over here. We'll talk about what to do on the next slice if he puts the hand out and stops my roll. Let's do it one more time. So what are the main things that I'm focused on? I'm focused on hand rotation and arm trapping, and I'm also focused on not waiting to feel him push back into me, but just trusting that the moment I bridge, there's that little reaction that he's gonna do where he's gonna push back into me. Look, hand here, high hips, lift the elbow up, and then I slide my leg under. I could even land in a cross chest position right here, or I could climb back up to side mount. Anything that you feel on that you wanna add, or?
I think you covered it.
Okay, that's the first slice. We'll talk about what to do next. A couple of different options. When both hands travel out and they catch their base, and there's no way that you can keep the arm tucked in. In this next slice, we're going to talk about what to do if I can't block Ian's arm anymore, and he's able to pull his hand all the way out and brace my fall, or base, so that as I try to roll him, his hand is blocking my attempt to roll him all the way over. So let's first just look at what that looks like without me actually doing the whole technique. I just want to show the problem right here. Look, I do a little bridge in. I grab his arm, but he's able to pull this hand out and create a base point. Now I'm not able to roll him over the shoulder anymore. So instead of trying to continue to do the same move, I'm actually going to come out the backside or underneath his armpit. Kind of a backdoor escape. Looks like this. I start to bridge into Ian. I'm even grabbing his tricep on the way over. As I start to roll him, this hand still escapes, lands on the mat. Look how I reach up to the sky. My feet come off the floor, and I'm using his resistance to help pull my shoulder back out on this side. Right away, I go under grip on the far armpit. My knee comes forward, and I over grip the shoulder. I've got an over and under. There's a possibility to make the hook right here too. As I move into this, kind of optional. Let's rotate sideways a little bit like this. So one thing to keep in mind is that when Ian's arm lands on the floor, he's got a lot of friction on his hand, and I'm going to use his armpit as a resistance point to start to pull myself south underneath him. If he doesn't have a lot of grip on the floor, it won't work well. He's got to really commit to stopping the roll first. So as I begin to roll, a little bridge, I start to grab the arm, boom, base. Again, feet come off the floor. This is kind of a key detail right here. Make sure the feet come off. I'm reaching that direction, upward and diagonal. And as I do that, look, it pushes me out. As I reach my bottom arm or my back arm, which arm should we call this? The inside arm?
Yeah.
The inside arm over by the hip, the whole goal is to rip this elbow to the floor. So as I start to reach, look, feet up off the ground, resist, resist, resist. My elbow comes out, my leg lands right here, over and under. And I'm in kind of a turtle setup now where I can attack from there. What is the part that people mess up here the most? The reach. I think the feet coming off the ground. I already talked about how important that is. Your feet need to come off the ground. So there's just your forearm and your shoulder reaching, and your whole body's able to rotate. Once again, just give me a little resistance with like your arm or something. I just want to show, you go under your armpit. This detail over here, rotate this way.
Yeah.
Watch my bottom elbow. As I start to reach to the sky, look, my elbow drags underneath my hip. My head comes right underneath the armpit, and that's when I'm coming right up into this grip. You want to try it?
Yeah.
See if I can feel anything 100% talk about. So I'm still starting in this modified side mount where I've got his hip blocked over here, and he's going to start with the first setup. And as he goes to roll me, my hand slaps the ground. I keep a lot of weight over here because I don't want to get rolled. Okay, he shoots right out the back underneath my armpit, and then you've got the under grip, the over grip, and now he's on top. And he has the option to insert that hook and take partial back.
One thing that I like to do that helps me remember to keep some weight on my opponent's back is I try to transfer my head up where my arm was. So let me show you what I mean. So one thing that you can't feel because you're just watching is that so when I take the back here, I push, and there's this weight, that stays consistent. It's this weight pushing down on the arm here. If I let go, he can easily circle the arm back over, and his hands aren't committed to a job on the floor.
Yeah.
So the detail, one thing that I like and that helps remind me to stay heavy is that when I go out the back door like that, let's switch your butt this direction over here, good, is that I reach with the arm and then I immediately transfer my head up to try to stay heavy. And my head is laying up there now, and I can put the hook in.
So throughout the entire technique, I feel like my hands are stuck up here because he has so much weight on my back, and I'm not able just to sit up and recircle my arm.
So I like to go heavy arm,
yeah,
and then slip my head up and try to be heavy as
You're
well.
keeping a connection the entire time, whether it's with your arm or your head, your neck.
Getting the head up there and having some weight with my neck has helped me have a greater success rate on these underhook style bridge back kicks.
Yeah.
Where I pop my head up and stay a little bit heavier.
Yeah, and these can also be used from half guard as well. We'll talk about those in a future video. But for right now, let's just approach it from a side mount. It's a real easy way to learn it. And it's almost easier to learn it from here than it is from half guard first. And it'll give you kind of a head start if you're gonna learn that other half guard variation.
Cool.
Let's do it slow motion one time just to see. I wanna see if I can feel that little pressure that you're putting on my, I wanna see if I do that to you as well. So a little bridge in, boom, I start to grab the arm too late, I come out, elbow up, boom. Yeah, you stay really heavy on me.
I have to because I know that I'll get lazy and my arm will get light if I don't remind myself by getting my head up there as well. Your arm stays heavy throughout. I don't think you've ever needed the reinforcement of getting your head and neck up there. But for me, I bridge, transfer my head up, stay heavy, and then go. So
awesome.
If you're having the same problem I'm having, that helps remind me to keep weight up there by transferring the weight from my arm
Bicep
up to my head and neck. Secure all the hooks.
grips.
Yeah. If you're heavy throughout like Jake, save yourself the effort.
You're heavy on me.
Thanks.
next option is just a second possibility. There's no indicator that says you have to do one or the other. It's just another option when the bad guy puts their hand out on the floor and stops your initial reversal. So again, I'm gonna do it one time, kind of slower speed, but fluid, and then we'll break it down. So Ian's still on top, the exact same setup. I'm going for the very first one where I'm trapping the arm, and as I go for it, he manages to get the arm out. So the moment that I feel the arm over here hit the floor, I'm using my arm on his hip to shrimp my hips away. Look how my bottom knee shoots right between his legs. My hand comes down to the knee and I'm lifting his other knee onto my foot. I'm using my foot and my hand to elevate his legs into the air, and then from here, look, a little handoff, and I catch the mount. Which angle? Be good for this one. Same angle? Maybe legs.
We need to get it from, yeah. We need to see what the legs and the knees are doing back there.
So for each of these, I'm just gonna have Ian start with his hands over here until we get to the last one, then I'll do the whole setup again. But just assuming that both hands have landed on this side of the mat, again, framing with my arm down here on the hip, shrimping my hips back to create enough space. Watch how when my bottom knee slides between his legs, my head moves back and I straighten my whole spine. Now from here, I'm lifting my inside knee up off the floor to hand it off to my foot. My leg hits the ground, I elevate, I grab his leg, and now I kick his knee over, landing in the mount. I always make a little hook right here, but if he tried to keep me rolling, I'd probably have to switch my hook and keep his hips on the ground. I always make a little hook on the far leg, I noticed. Let's go head angle.
Yeah. I'm gonna start over here.
Yeah, starting right here. Pay attention to my spine and how when my bottom knee slips between his legs right here, I don't stay folded in half in flexion. I want to go into extension. And I do that by rotate this way. Watch these toes. When I get my knee between his legs, I put my toes on the floor and I extend my whole body away. And now I've got space to start to lift my knee up. And there's a lot of leverage here. As I lift my knee up and I keep my toes on the floor, I can now hand his knee off over to my foot. Look how I'm hugging his back, and I use my middle foot to help lift him up nice and high. And then look, a little handoff right here to the foot, to the leg, to the calf, to the knee, whatever. And now I'm gonna pull with my bottom leg that way, and I'm gonna kick this direction with my top leg. You wanna try it?
I wanna try it. I need to watch these videos. This is a good one. This is a good one for me.
So I'm starting right here just as the bad guy, just for my partner to practice this with both hands over here. He shrimps his hips out, shot his knee in, and his head and back are nice and structural and straight. From here, look at the little handoff to the leg, and he's already tipping me sideways. I'm being elevated. Now he hooks my bottom leg, shifts over, catches a little ride with that hook. And I think you're gonna arm triangle me right after
There we
that.
go. If we go slow enough, I can do it.
Yeah. Let's do it one time slow motion and then one time in actual slow motion speed.
Let's do it. So this is cooperative slow motion.
This is us going in normal speed,
Not
but
digital,
very slow.
not digital photography slow motion.
Yeah, let's kind of go diagonal on this so they can see some of the speed movements.
You want to go from
Yeah, I'm
hand
starting
over
from
here?
the very beginning now.
Okay.
I'm bridging into Ian. I start my initial roll. His hand escapes. I shrink back. Knee shoots through. Toss it to my foot. Hand off. Hook. Hook. next option we're gonna show is from a darce setup. When I turn to my side, I start to escape the side mount, and then my partner shoots a darce. I'm gonna be able to grab the wrist, hold the knee, and tip him all the way over me, and sometimes end up in an arm lock. We'll show it just for fun, but no guarantees in the follow-up. So, same setup right here. Ian's gonna go back to a modified side mount, meaning that this arm right here is down by my hip. Remember, I'm not starting up here right now. I'm actually gonna start with my arm under his south armpit. And as I start to turn to the side right here, he shoots the arm deep. Look, my hand follows, and I grab his wrist. I secure it, and I pinch my elbow in tight. I hold the knee, and I shoot my hips underneath him. So let's take a look at what's going on a little bit deeper. There's kind of a lot of little details in here that are going to be hard to see. Maybe it's easier to show with Ian sitting up a little bit like this. So as I turn sideways, it's important that when I decide to go for this, I don't keep my arms shallow like this, but I shoot it all the way in. I'm going elbow behind his elbow. And now my hand comes back down and I secure his wrist to my chest, and I'm also using my back to pinch my elbow against my ribs right here so that the arm is locked. My grip on the leg is palm up right to the inside of the knee. Now when I'm here, I'm not pulling Ian across me. I'm actually gonna start to switch my hips underneath him. Watch, I'm gonna walk my hips into him, and at this point, I'm gonna put him on top of me like a little seesaw. Look, he's just resting on top of me. And I keep moving my hips. I push the leg across, and right here I can come up to my knees, or I can use this as a base point, shoot my shin in, and pass for this little arm lock right here too. You give it a shot, you're good at this one too. Got some details. So starting point is modified side mount right here.
We have this modified side mount, and a lot of times when me being on bottom, I'll turn to face my opponent to start to look for an escape. I open up this opportunity for him to reach underneath my armpit, underneath my head, and potentially choke me. So this is a nice opportunity where he feels like he's gonna have something, and it's a gift to me if I catch it nice and early. When I feel him start to reach under my south elbow, just like Jake talked about, I'm gonna punch my arm slightly deeper over the top of his so that now I can hug with my armpit and my hand, and I'm not just relying on trying to catch his arm with my forearm.
Reese, let's rotate this way so we can see how you got my elbow right there.
Now, when I secure the pant grip over here, or even under the knee, if that's what you have, or under the thigh, but pants if they're available, I use my toes on the floor. And like Jake talked about, I'm not trying to pull him over me to reverse the position, relying on my back muscles. It's just gonna hurt, and his base is too good over here. So instead, I use my toes, I keep my knee that's flat on the ground like a spatula, and I begin to walk into my opponent. His weight will slowly ratchet and load onto me, and now my grip with the pants can push as he falls over. If I keep this, we know that we're shooting my south shin up into the armpit and my other arm over the head to catch the arm lock. Or you caught it as a reversal and continue the roll of the train however you see fit.
Right. What other details do we have there? I think everything is good. Let's show a solo demo on this one, just because I think it's so hard for people to see.
There's a lot of congestion in there.
Yeah, our bodies are on top. But if we're here, my hand is down on this other armpit. I start to shrimp myself out, and as I turn sideways, I feel the arm reach. I punch my arm deeper than normal, and I come back and collect the wrist. My elbow pinches into my ribs, and I've got the arm trapped. Under grip on the knee. When you hold the knee, look how the palm is up. This helps as you get the reversal. It helps have a little more power for your push. Key detail right here is the hip movement. Look, I move my hips into them, and I start to square my hips back up to the sky. About right here, your partner should be resting right on your center line. And at this point, one last little shrimp and a push should reverse the whole deal. My legs switch, I come up on top, and I either catch a reversal or I can post, shoot my shin up in the armpit, pass the foot over, and end in a little arm lock.